Hey, you've tuned into I Work for Him, the mouthpiece of the faith and work movement. We're your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg.
Glad to have you with us today for our special edition podcast.
Hey, check us out online at iwork4him.com. Check out our bookstore, because that's what this is all about. Our bookstore, as many of you know, Martha and I released 3 books this year. I Work for Him, She Works for Him, and I Retire for Him. All of them available on our website at iwork4him.com and, of course, at amazon.com.
That's right. In writing these books, we collaborated with over 50 people who wrote chapters specifically for you, our listeners. And we've invited these authors to come and share with us their story right here on I Work for Him.
Today, we're going to be talking with Caroline Mendez with Pinnacle Forum for Women online at pinnacleforum.com/women. Caroline Mendez contributed a chapter entitled Christian Working Women in our She Works for Him book. Caroline Mendez, welcome back to I Work for Him.
So glad to be with you two again.
We love you. We think you're awesome. And we love your work with Pinnacle Forum for Women. So why don't you start off by just telling us, though, what's your faith and work story?
So I was born again in 2006, and the Lord had me really stop working. And that was the first time in my whole life I had not worked. And so I spent 4 years or so just serving church, ministering to people. I would cook meals and clean new moms' homes. And after 4 years, I just begged the Lord. I said, please, Father, give me something to do. May I go back to work again and integrate my passion for women and my new identity in Christ, especially with working women. And so that's how it started. I went and I started looking for Christian working women, and I couldn't find anything that really addressed us. And so I started to create Christian women CEO groups and did that for about 5 years. And that's really what we did is we got together once a month to integrate our faith into our work and businesses.
And what's really great is that everybody can hear more about that story when they read your chapter. I love that you kind of lay that out. And I want you to tell the listeners right now a little bit about what you wrote about in your chapter. Of course, we want them to read it, right? But give them some highlights.
So, during the 16-year odyssey that I've been on trying to find my tribe, the fellow Christian working women or Christian women leaders in the marketplace, there were 6 observations that I walked away with as I went through this process of trying to find, not finding them, and then just creating community. And so we identify 6 observations about Christian women. Some are the Christian women are rarely affirmed in their gifts and callings, as well as their natural gifts, talents, and abilities. Or number 2, Christian working women are rarely even affirmed in the work that they're called to do right now or their actual calling. Nobody mentors them. And especially women. Christian women are not mentoring other Christian women. And that was a big surprise to me, because I thought that was all part of that was all part of who we are in Christ, is to mentor each other. And I don't find that in the marketplace.
I remember our very first conversation on the phone. And I remember I just shared my heart and my passion for the fact that, I recognize the fact that when a woman becomes a Christ follower, she also gets the Holy Spirit, and that her spiritual gifts don't hold any different ranking than those given to a man, yet women seem to take a second place spot in the kingdom, and it bothers me. It bothers me. And that really formed a friendship that we've now had for many years, which led to the She Works for Him brand. Because it is a passion that you and I share. Martha, of course, shares it too, but it was something that I got you riled up that day. I remember getting you riled up.
Yes, you did. You hit my hot button.
I did. I hit your hot button. So what I love about the fact is, as you worked alongside us at I Work for Him for a little, almost 2 years, but God spun you off into a really neat place today at Pinnacle Forum. Tell us about Pinnacle Forums for Women.
I would love to. So as you guys know, one of the many hot buttons that I have is that as Christian professional women or Christian women leaders, we don't have community. And I have met hundreds of women who have said, I have never met another Christian woman leader. And so about a year and a half ago, the Lord brought me into Pinnacle Forum, which is an organization nationally, about 500 members now, partners worldwide. It's a marketplace ministry that serves to create community for Christian leaders nationally. But they didn't have a women's side. And you know what happened, Jim. As soon as the CEO said, we don't know what to do with this woman's side, it doesn't really grow and we can't seem to figure it out. I was like, oh Lord, that's my thing.
Sign me up.
That's my thing. He served up. I have never had such a great assignment from the Lord as I do now to create community for Christian women leaders in any of the 7 mountains of culture. And we get together every week via Zoom. We do several things. We do a deep relational check-in. We study a Christian leadership just a little bit so that there's not a lot of homework. And then we work on something called a cultural engagement plan, because our mission is to transform leaders to transform culture. So how do we do that? Well, we have to develop a plan, right? We have to be intentional about it. Mm-hmm. And so instead of a business plan, take off the word business and map cultural impact. And that's what we do is we work with the women in our forum every week to develop that plan, to encourage and equip them to live that out every day. And it's a great joy.
That is so great. So Caroline, we know without a shadow of a doubt that you are in your sweet spot.
Amen.
And God is using you in an amazing way to impact these women and help build community. Share one thing that you see God using you for in your everyday work. I mean, that's the big picture, but maybe give us an example.
Oh my gosh. So, the Lord's been doing a great work with me in regards to working with men. And most of the people that I work with in Pinnacle Forum in the leadership are men. And I have come to the realization that my responsibility, and I've had it affirmed by several women that I work with, is that my job every day is to raise the visibility of women so that when decisions are being made, not only in Pinnacle Forum, but in the marketplace, that I'm the voice of the women to say, wait a second, could I tell you how that looks at or how that feels from a woman's perspective, how we would go about it? And so there's visibility, but I am, as Jim says, he's the mouthpiece for the Faith at Work movement. I am the mouthpiece for Christian women leaders in the marketplace. And he keeps asking me to speak into what is being created to ensure that the women have a voice in that process.
That's so powerful. I love it. I just love it. I just let you do forever. I just love that, which is why people need to read your chapter in our sheWorks4Him book. It's fantastic. In fact, we should show a copy of the sheWorks4Him book right here on.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, look at that. The
nice.
sheWorks4Him book is right there. Love for you to get it online, Martha, on our website. Where can they get it?
Just iwork4him.com/bookstore.
Oh, we have our own bookstore. I love that. Just is fantastic. All right, Caroline, what is one thing, as you look back at your work history, what's one thing you would like to tell your younger you?
That's a challenging question. I think it would be to stop not being who God created me to be. I am an assertive, outspoken defender, and I have tried to downplay that. I have tried to ignore it. I've tried to make excuses for it. I have tried everything I know so that people do not get offended, or and the truth is that this is how God created me, and this is how He's using me, and the way that He crafted me is perfect for the role that He has me play. That's what I would tell my younger self.
And I think a lot of women struggle there, where they don't want to be seen as, they may be type, you're a high A personality, a high D on the disc.
D-I.
D.
High D-I.
D yeah. With little I.
Tiny.
Yeah, where it's acceptable for me to be a bull in a china shop, but why is it not acceptable for a woman to be a bull in a china shop? Now, obviously, through Christ, we get rounded. Our corners get rounded a little bit, well, a lot, chiseled off.
Yes.
But a lot of women struggle with that. They think that they have to be like other people in order to be accepted. And you're saying you just embrace who God made you to be. And of course, he continues to refine you.
Absolutely.
But that it's okay to be Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And in fact, he's using all of the mistakes, all of the failures, all the missteps, even the what I would say my shadow side of my strengths. If I submit it to him and I submit my personality to be under his lordship, he'll use all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just do want to encourage the women to stop hiding under a bushel and do what the Lord's asked you to do. And if it means him using you and you're uncomfortable, praise God, because frankly, that's where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be uncomfortable.
You know, and Caroline, it makes me think about the people that are the opposite, the women that think they need to be this strong, assertive woman, and that's not their nature, to be who God created them to be as well. Because, you know,
Absolutely.
he gave us our giftings because he has a role for us to play, not to play somebody else's role. And I know a lot of women have that reverse thing where they think they need to act like a man. And, you know, that may not be who they're created to be authentic, right?
Right. And, you know, I think what so surprised me about the journey of writing the book, which I did not want to write, but the Lord said, yes, you will write a book. I just said, I will never write a book. You know how that is. And so,
and you're talking about your Threads of Wisdom book that you wrote. Okay, so I'm
that I really was not excited about, and the process was painful. But anyway, if you want to have some spiritual warfare in your life, try to write a book for the Lord. Go ahead. It's fun. So anyway, when I wrote the book and I wrote all the chapters of the women, at the end, the Lord said, read through it and take the attributes out of it that define a Christian woman leader. Most of leadership for the past 2,000 years has been owned by men. God created a woman leader differently. So for those of us who grew up in corporate, we took on the mantle of, well, in order to be a leader, I need to act like a man. I need to be right. There's no crying at work and all these things that we took on. But the Lord showed me that there is this beautiful, grace-filled model of what a woman leader and the attributes of that type of leader and what that looks like. And it's just as valuable, just as powerful, right? It's this, it's not this.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. So there's a lot of women listening to today's show and a lot of men as well that need to know about Pinnacle Forum, because Pinnacle Forum is for men and women. But why don't you focus on how can the ladies listening today get involved in Pinnacle Forum for women?
So the best way is to go to pinnacleforum.com, and that's for the men and the women. We have different tabs for young, successful leaders. If you're in the 20s and 30s, we have groups for you. We have groups for men, and we have groups for women. And so what we do, Jim, is we offer everybody, if they're a good fit, we like to interview first and make sure we've got a good fit, is to invite them in to test drive Pinnacle Forum for an entire month. And then once they're done the test drive, they'll know and we will know if we're a good fit for each other. And then we'll invite them into the ministry.
PinnacleForum.com/women or just PinnacleForum.com. Caroline Mendez, thanks for sharing your story, a little bit about Pinnacle Forum, and for writing a chapter inside She Works for Him, embracing your calling as a Christian woman at work. Thank you, Caroline Mendez.
Thanks so much.
Make sure you check her out online, PinnacleForum.com/women, and also at our bookstore, iworkforhim.com/bookstore. You've been listening to I Work for Him with your host, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. We're Christ followers. Our workplace, it's our mission field, but ultimately, I work for Him.